It's Saturday night. Come on, man.
Somewhat live-ish on Saturday night. This is Today New Brunswick, Tomorrow the World. It's been a while, gotta say. Circumstances and confabulation and slackerdom somewhat uh, all around this year endeavor. I am Matt Stranick. This is the inestimable Dan Hayward is who we
Hey.
got here, repping. And this is somewhat of a cross 51st state fucking edition, in as much as for all y'alls who need to know some geography about your upcoming real estate transaction. Jesus, Dan. Sorry, I won't be doing this the whole thing. I just call it an icebreaker, can we? It is a cross country endeavor. I'm in the westernish kind of part here, Alberta, northern abouts, and then repping for the whole dang best part of Canada for anybody's money, cryptocurrency included, perhaps especially crypto, is the friggin' the beast from the down east, right in Nova Scotia, New Scotland, as has been aforementioned hitherto thus far extenuated, my friend. How are things, Dan?
Oh, they're not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, it's finally springtime here, which kind of ties into our topic.
Bro,
And
you have a good topic. This was a good one.
yes,
Um,
thanks.
after much backing and forthing throughout the weeks about what this was even going to be for this show, Dan came back with the it's inspired. What is it, Dan? What's the vernacular we're going with here?
Okay, I figured this week we would do sort of a little mini playlist for what I call the dog shit days of spring, which that is that very first part of spring where like things are first starting to melt, and like you know that like something better's some better weather's coming and like nicer times are probably coming, but you still got all that stuff that's just been building up in the back, in your literal and figurative backyards. I say literal as well because that's actually how I spent part of my afternoon today, was cleaning, trying to clean up after my dog in my own backyard.
It's Henry,
But
right? Your dog's name?
yeah, Henry, yes, exactly.
Remind us all, people who haven't maybe caught the inimitable Henry. What kind of pooch are we talking?
He's
Roughly what
a
size, so we can
he's
visualize the excrement kind of ratio.
well, he's about 27 pounds. He is
Okay,
he's what
significant,
they call
significant amount of dog.
he's what they call a Frenchton, which is he's part French bulldog, part Boston Terrier. Um, and yeah, but that's always kind of just how it's always what I've kind of thought at this time of the year for. And I mean, we've procrastinated so long that this was originally going to be a like winter playlist episode, and then it's not winter anymore. And the world keeps happening, and that everything's on fire and kind of a hellscape. And might as well hang out with an old friend and talk about some music. So
I,
yeah.
I, I do have to say, that I've kind of made some very kind of, in light of kind of what geopolitical circumstances,
Mhm.
I and only speaking for myself, have made a pretty significant anti-fascism pivot in my social media framing.
Mhm.
There was just something in me that kind of snapped when that fucking press conference where Trump basically completely undermined the president of the Ukraine, and
Mhm.
basically completely turned over everything that the Western world has really stood for, certainly within NORAD, certainly within a defense posture, since the fucking end of the Cold War, right? Including conflicts in, I don't know, places like Vietnam, fucking places like Korea, where my grandfather served. I just, it blows my mind. And that was really where I decided, you know what? if I fucking have to deal with one uncomfortable meeting at work where they tell me, hey, Matt Stranik, shut the fuck up to keep your job, I'll go, yeah, okay, cool. Thanks. I'll take the fucking formal letter of reprimand or whatever. No indication of that, by the way, thus far. I know there are people from work who, follow me at least on Instagram, not on Facebook so much, but still. I just feel like my kids are racial children, okay? And that's the fucking part of it that galls. That's the part of it. It's like you want to burn down your own fucking economy. I don't give a flying shit. Take Canada with you on the economy front. I mean, fuck it, fair play, I suppose. But when you start using racialized fucking language, my children are fucking Asian kids. They're half Korean. Their faces, they look like fucking Asian kids because they are, okay? And my grandfather did not fucking go to Korea to just, so this technocrat cocksucker can just pivot towards fascism and fucking like, nah, man. So I'm not going to let it fucking occupy any more of fucking my thing than that. But I feel the need to just kind of speak to the fact that some people who are probably checking out this show, maybe for the first time, like, what the fuck? It's like, I'm just saying, right? If they took away all my fucking meta privileges, I wouldn't care at all, because Substack is my jam now. And I recommend, Dan, that you join me on Substack, because Substack is actually really lit. So anyway, bro, that's my friggin' preamble. And I want to hear all about your first choices, man, and any, if you want to respond to that, I mean, please don't if you don't want to. But anyway, bro.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The current just state of everything south of the border is like, that could really just be a whole other podcast,
No, man.
I'm
not. I don't mean to put you on the spot. You don't got to say anything about it at all if you don't want to. I'm just, for me, it's.
When we're at a point of history where saying fascism equals bad is like a hot take from in some circles, like it's just things are not good. But anyways, to get to my actual picks here, I might as well start. I'll start sort of chronologically, and I'll talk about, one that I put on there because of a notable recent passing, and that is David Johansen, vocalist from the New York Dolls, who, I in my write up for the notes, I was strict honest. It's like, I know he was the singer for this iconic band, but when I was young, I knew of him mostly as the guy that did that, from his like novelty comeback song, Hot, Hot, Hot. That was like a cover of an old Calypso song. And some of his Hollywood roles, because he had a little turn as a character actor there for a while, because he played one of the ghosts in Scrooged. And also, he was in one of my favorite horror anthology movies, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, which also features Debbie Harry. And a young Steve Buscemi playing a college student. But yeah, David Johansen plays in the movie. David Johansen plays a hitman who's hired to hunt down a possibly demonic cat that has killed off this old rich guy's family one by one by doing things like sneaking under their feet on the stairs and that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's a totally silly, campy performance, but it's in like a segment written by Stephen King called The Cat Came Back. And, it's got some pretty great, B-movie practical effects in it, involving a cat crawling out of someone's mouth at one point. But yeah, so it's just, that's the kind of stuff that I also associate David Johansen with as well. But, can't forget the New York Dolls, of course. They were one of the, the innovators of the whole, proto-punk sound, that helped get the scene at, places like Max's Kansas City going, in the 70s. And for the little playlist part, I found a video of them playing on that show, The Midnight Special, the old TV series where they kind of Top of the Pops kind of thing, where they'd have different bands come in and play their songs. And looking at the crowd, it's like, it seems like 3/4 of the people just like they don't know what the heck's going on, but the ones that get it are like super into it, and that's just kind of cool to see. And of course, I put hot, 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 and some scenes from Tales from the Dark Side of the movie in sort of the end part of my show notes as well. But yeah, that was just just for the notable passing end of things. I wanted to say R.I.P. to David Johansen, and I put their song "Personality Crisis" on there because it's a rocker, and yeah.
Folks, this is what I enjoy about the show. This is one of the things I enjoy about the show, is that I can reliably count on Dan to bring up things that not only should be addressed because they're interesting, because Dan has a really deep knowledge of this stuff, but because it's like, oh fuck, I didn't even think of that when I totally should have. And goddamn, I mean, man, that. What Buster Poindexter was that?
Buster Poindexter. That was his stage name.
Okay, that's like post-punk as a motherfucker, right? That's like multidisciplinary stuff. Mm-hmm. I got two things to say that I thought of, just because what you said stands very much on its own. But there's a couple things I was thinking of was, holy fuck, how sad was it when they fucking put out a GoFundMe for him at the end of his life? I was like, Jesus fuck, that's exactly why the 51st state enjoys its fucking public health care, you cocksuckers. Mm-hmm. That was just my immediate visceral response. I'm like, there's no fucking way anybody in Canada would go out like that, And it's a fucking shame because he was a fucking icon. New York City fucking pan-disciplinary auteur. What the fuck? He deserved better. And that it pissed me off more than anything, to be honest.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead, bro.
I was going to say, I'm wearing my De La Soul shirt today, and I mean, Dave Jolicoeur from De La Soul was a similar situation. Like he was
dying of lack of
healthcare.
Man, is not a fucking cool way to go. That's all I can say.
It's pretty sad, but yeah, it's one of those, like, as one of the first really
bad. And that fucking, for me, when I think of that, man, I think of hanging out with Mike B in fucking high school in around grade 11, listening to the New York Dolls fucking that record, right? The fucking the one. It's self-titled, right? Like the one. And just repeatedly, man, like every aspect of that, I'm like, my God, you can't do any kind of fucking heavy music without it from that point forward. Everything fucking with a guitar has to trace its genealogy back to that. It's one of those kind of cool moments, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I mean, wow, just so yeah, man, good choice.
Okay, so Scrooged.
An auteur.
A multimedia auteur. So what's your first pick, Matt?
King of all media. Okay, well, here's what. I'm going to do two things with this. First of all, I'm going to say a list of names that are written on a piece of paper, because that way when I sort of do the tagging for this after, when I put it out, I can say, hey guys, we actually talked about your thing. So I'm going to say some names. That'll just be a very brief moment. I sort of wind up to the overall, and I won't be speaking to all of these during the show. This is me sneaking in some teacher tactics here, just to kind of say, we covered the curriculum on this by mentioning it once in class, right? That's something teachers do. It's been known to happen. And further to that, my first real one after that, actually, I'm going to put it to you. My first one is a question, because I think you may be more hip to this than me. I told Ethan, my son, my 15-and-a-half-year-old, like, basketball phenom, he's pretty fucking deep into rap music. And he asked me if I'd heard the new Playboi Carti yet. Have you heard the new Playboi Carti yet? Because I know it's out, and I know he's beefing with, I know he's got Kendrick on a track. And I know that he's beefing with the fucking whatever the fuck Kanye is these days. I know that there's some kind of altercation going on there. And I've had a lot with my son going on back and forth about how, Kanye is the fucking basic scum of fucking media right now
Oh
in a
yeah,
lot of
he's.
ways.
I don't know
So
if you. I don't know if you heard the anecdote that just the interview with Iggy Azalea that just came out recently.
it's just like trying to drink from a fire hose, right? Like it's
Oh yeah, yeah,
all
yeah. It's
like
just like
what
what other
outrage is it now?
terrible.
You know.
But
So my question then, Dan, have you heard the new Playboy Cardi? Because I haven't, but now I get to mention it in the context of the show, and I'll have opinion.
it's
Have
you
you
know
listened to it?
it's funny because I've talked about this a couple times. This has been a subject of conversation with my girlfriend and I this past week, where I've
Yes.
just kind of decided that like that's where I've drawn the line. Where it's like, you know what, it's cool. I think this is just not for me.
But you're not going there. Okay,
I'm just
fair
not.
enough.
You know, it's just one
Fair
of
enough.
those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just not to.
No,
It's
man, that's fine.
yeah.
I'm. This is an inquiry for me. I'm just like trying to.
It's
First of
very
all,
much something for the youth that it's
that's
like.
cool.
I realize
Maybe,
a lot
yeah.
of my tastes lean more towards, I guess, what they'd call like the unk end of things.
Oh,
in
for
the
sure.
parlance of the
For
kids
sure.
today. And a couple of the YouTubers that I watch as that are like music critics and stuff like Anthony Fantano and FD Signifier have both put out videos in the past week that are just like, you know, them like Fantano has notoriously been beefing with like basically high school age fans of like Cardi and various Cardi adjacent acts for like a little while now. And FD Signifier made a video of him like driving
I'm
one of
so
his kids
glad the
around.
internet didn't exist when we were in high school.
Oh yeah.
Holy
Oh
fuck.
yeah.
Every day, I just think
that's-
that. My God.
That's something that actually has come into my professional life as well, because I work a job where, you know, it's beneficial to know French. And when I originally learned French, the internet, like technology, has made significant advances since I had spent most of my time learning that language up until like the past few years. So like I had to learn words like courriel, like for email, that just did not exist then. Like, you know, like I remember learning my first internet, like I this is, you know, kind of a dorky thing to admit, but like I met someone on the internet in the 90s. Like I met a girl on Usenet.
Okay,
It was like,
surprise me, Dan. I gotta
what?
say, it doesn't surprise me, folks. You gotta know. You gotta know. If you're not from the Fredericton scene, you might not know that Dan is a very thoughtful, sophisticated, and well-traveled individual. He was one of the friends who first got into CHSR in a way that, I mean, it was always around, but like the cohort that fucking smoked dope and hung and fucking played hacky sack at the fucking Officer Square. He was sort of, you know, early into fucking CHSR as a host and volunteer. You know, and he also traveled and was a friggin' musician and a stand-up comedian and raconteur and every other goddamn thing. So it's just,
yeah.
you know, when I have this show, I'm just like, oh, do fucking tell another fucking, you know, just it's tight, is what I'm saying, Dan.
Yeah. But
really.
yeah, that was actually, yeah, that was when I was like still living in Fredericton in like 1995, like going to St. Thomas.
So the early encounters with the internet and
Yeah,
you know, possibly dating somebody through that are
that was like an early,
there you go, man.
early internet, you know. It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, we are of that age that like
we are
it's just
that,
less of it, you know. We've watched it become more of a thing in different ways, and then just rot everyone's brains until they're all insane now. But anyways, yeah,
so
not
there.
to reverse, not to do the opposite of yes anding. But I have not really checked out that Playboy Cardi album, because it's one of those things that is just like, you know, it's like I mean, my musical tastes are kind of all over the place. Like even just my list for this show is kind of a little scattered genre-wise, but there's some stuff, it's like, you know, there's things I listen to where it's like, this isn't for me, but like I find it interesting, and then I'm just like, this isn't for me, and someone's into it, but like, you know, I know it's not for me. Yeah, it's
good to know what's not for you. That's one of the joys of middle age.
For a couple days there, I saw like, I guess he did the Rolling Loud festival recently, and I saw nothing but live clips of his Rolling Loud set and various like video game streamers like going on stage with him and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, this is in my world is a different world than this. And like, yeah, a lot of dudes that are probably like your kids' ages that are just like super into it. And it's like, yeah, have fun, guys. It's just, you know, like I said, I'll be over here listening to my like old man music. Like,
it's definitely a Gen Z kind of thing on it, I'm sure. And again, I'm definitely gonna just, hype up my son's music in as much as I am curious, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's good to it's good to
just kind
explore
of
that
shouting
stuff.
out the current thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I then will thusly shoehorn in the fact that according to the YouTube Music Analytics, which is what I use now as my primary thing, right, for virtual player, is that I've been listening to fucking Izzy Stradlin, the original Guns N' Roses guitar player, incessantly. His solo release. Holy fuck.
Is he Stradlin and the Juju Hounds? Is that his band?
That fucking whole record, man. That first record is genius from start to finish. And I remember hearing it like fucking in high school, right? Like, you left Guns N' Roses right before Use Your Illusion came out, right? Replaced the dude with Gilby Clarke. And what the fuck's he doing? Well, he's fucking hiding out in the fucking Bahamas and he's recording this fucking amazing Keith Richard-esque thing that, I mean, you can put it next to the early Paul Westerberg solo shit of the same period, and it's got like the same, like, early fucking Stones fucking, except with fucking the fact that, he's coming off being in the biggest rock band in the world. It sounds like fucking, glam, but he fucking covers reggae. He fucking goes deep on it, man. And it's fucking, not enough people know about that record. And I'll go you one further. He has at least 2 other albums fully from that came out. Ride On is one of them. River is another. It's sort of like all 3 of them are fucking genius. From just a guitar, fucking straightforward, but really smart, and with a fucking really like Clash kind of heavy fucking punk energy. And then you realize like, oh yeah, Appetite for Destruction had such good songwriting on it, but fucking Slash can't write songs. He can play solos, he can't write songs. And so you want a fucking guitar player to keep up with Duff, like, who's one of the best punk bassists ever, in my opinion. Like, well, what the fuck? I mean, sorry to all concerned, and that's where I guess I'll leave it, except that the 2 songs in particular that were really clocking up a lot of time for me, and still, Memphis, I don't even know if he wrote that one. Long Distance Information, Get Me Memphis, Tennessee. Try to find I feel like that could be a standard somehow, and it's just his
that feels like it's like a.
It's just know. His rendition of it, though.
Like some Wichita alignment kind of stuff, He's
got a fucking crack band behind him. It's just bam, and it's just they hit it and they just don't fucking stop. It sounds live off the floor, and it's fucking tight. And then another song. Anyway, I guess that's the one that I would say the most. And probably I'll have the rest of that in the notes. Thanks for letting me shoehorn in the fucking Playboy Cardi, because that'll give us some search engine optimization when I post the fucking tweets about it. Woo! And also, shout out to my son, because I love my son, Ethan.
Yeah. And it's cool that, like, he's of an age where you guys can, like, share music and discuss its merits, the merits of different artists, like, and it's stuff that it's at least within the same universe, as
I'm just so glad to have 2 kids who are doing on every fucking metric better than what I was doing at the same age. I tell them, I'm like, objectively speaking, even though your mom and I aren't together right now, you got it made on every level that I fucking didn't when I was your age. And that's just truth, right? So it's just nice when you see like the young people kind of almost getting to the adult years, and you can start having some. I mean, we've always shared pop culture. We've always shared movies and board games and shit. But like the music, right? The real fucking stuff. Now we're starting to be able to engage with it a little bit, and they don't think all of my stuff is quite a joke, I don't think. I haven't sold them on almost any punk music, but there's a few things that are kind of getting through. So Anyway, what the hell, man? So, God damn it. Take as much time as you want on this next one, bro.
All
Christ.
right. Well,
Mine on the long one there.
my next one is kind of, well, it's, I guess it's almost a multimedia pick because
Okay.
it's a song by a band, and then I also wanted to recommend the autobiographical kind of self-mythologizing biopic movie about the band starring the band.
Oh my Christ,
which is Northern Irish rapper's Kneecap.
I'm so glad you picked this one. I'll shut up, but that was
I don't know. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen
no!
the movie yet?
God damn it!
Oh,
and
man,
I knew it was
it's
awesome.
definitely
I know I
worth it.
should.
It's you know, if you want to talk
Yeah.
like, you know, resistance to fascism and, you know, colonialist oppression and that kind of thing, and just something entertaining that'll give you a relic good time, and as well tying in youth up to no good, because that's definitely, you know, what the two sort of main rappers of the band seem to be up to a lot of the time, according to their lyrics and the film. But yeah, I last year they're one of those bands that like they just
I know
kinda,
you've talked about those dudes a lot on this show already,
Yeah,
right?
and
So,
they just I feel like they just kind of just I don't know, like last year. Well, yeah, they've been around for I guess probably like 7 years now. Their first album came out in 2018, and yeah, and then over the past couple of years, they've made this sort of fictionalized, and I don't know how many, like there's some aspects of it involving like, you know, members of the IRA in hiding, etc. That I don't know how like true to life those are, or if they're more just like, you know, just artistic flourishes in the spirit of their oeuvre. But yeah, it's just like a great fun movie that shows how like the two rappers in the group met their DJ when he got called in as a translator when they got arrested because they would only speak Gaelic, and he was the only other Gaelic speaker they could find, and he was like a high school music teacher or something like that, or no, like an elementary school music teacher. And when they started, the reason he would wear the ski mask is because, you know, he was teaching when they first started, and you know they're up on stage rapping about getting the British out and doing ketamine and stuff, and you know that maybe it's not the greatest thing for someone in the education field to like attach their face to, but yeah, no, their newest album from last year, Fine Art, is great, and yeah, it's yeah, my girlfriend and I both had the same initial comment on their music though, is because they switch between Irish Gaelic and English when they're rapping, and like heavily accented English. And
does it sound like the
smooth.
House of Pain?
Not totally,
Let me begin.
but not really. It's probably closer to like The Streets or like a Dizzy Rascal or something like that. But like they'll like seamlessly switch like mid bar from English to Gaelic, and
That
it's
is
just like
right.
I thought I was having a
Very
stroke.
right.
Like we both, it's like first time I heard them, I thought it's like, am I having a stroke? It's like all of a sudden I don't understand the words. It's like, oh wait, no, that's their whole deal. Is that like, you know, they're trying to like preserve and you know, sort of repopularize using the Irish language.
Language revitalization is tight through music. We can probably do a whole show, I'm sure, on indigenous efforts, particularly in this country, to cover that as a thing. Now that you mention it, that's fucking tight, man. That's really, I like the concept and I like the execution. These guys are high profile. I mean, this whole project you're talking about, it's like everybody, it like, gets talked about a lot. It's well regarded. Exactly. I just haven't checked it out for lack of time.
Yeah, like Michael Fassbender, I think, is who's also Irish. I think was one of the people that helped them get the movie made, and like he plays their dad. He plays their dad, who's like on the run.
Lordy, is he? Is he in that?
He is.
The fucking dude from the Alien movies and all that shit. Oh.
Yeah. And the rest of the group all plays themselves, and like they're good actors, you know, playing just a bunch of, you know, just kind of like hard partying musicians who you know, love their old rave music and you know, various recreational substances, and also, you know, switching between English and Gaelic and stuff. But this also kind of ties into another one of my picks that I'll get into a little later, this whole vibe. But yeah, it's just I've been listening to their album Fine Art a bit, and I saw the movie a little while ago, and it was I feel like you don't get a lot of good like comedies just in general in a while in the film world these days, like unless it's a couple of very specific kinds of things, and this is just like, hey, here's this we I guess basically like wild raucous anarchic like rock and roll comedy with kind of like revolutionary undertones as well. That's I thought it was pretty cool. And yeah, so I put for my next pick on the playlist is the title track from their newest album Fine Art, because it's a good mix of like sort of the like kind of like more techno-y British beats that they use, and really displays a lot of like the switching between like English and Gaelic and stuff too. So yeah, that was my second pick.
That's dope, man. Again, what you're describing to me almost sounds like it kind of has like Train Spotting, kind of post-colonial, kind of.
Oh, definitely.
Hip hop, fucking. I mean, like seriously, and I mean, remember, man. Again, you were there. I mean, we all. I don't know, like at least in Fredericton, I got into Train Spotting. We all kind of, when the movie came out, and Irvine Welsh really, I mean, with his novel and short story. I'm not going to go full English teacher here, but I will say that, I mean, for me, that whole was like, whoa, it was like exotic and familiar at the same time, because like, yeah, I guess I do know what it's like to fucking be culturally, dependent on and financially dependent on wankers, Back from the Camtasia edit point.
And it's your pick next.
Okay, so I guess I'll just say here that I'm going to lay this next pick squarely for being responsible on my pal David Yarnstrom, who drums for Minneapolis post-hardcore band Rad Owl. He's also recording for a new band called Align, which is more of a shoegaze kind of vibe, he tells me, and from what limited music samples are out there. This is where I get to say I can check it off on the metadata now, and but he hit me. We're whatever. We know each other on Facebook, and he was just like the new Propagandy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, At Peace. It's the new single.
Nice.
It features a Hydra drawing. It's a lyric video. At Peace, and it's off the name of the record. I'm sure is out there to be had. I'll have it in the notes. I don't have it in my brain right now, but I mean, again, right, for a band of running that length, the consistency of those dudes is astounding. And I'll tell you, man, have you listened to the single At Peace? Have you checked it out?
I saw it came up, but I haven't really had a chance to listen to it yet.
Yeah, man. It's worth sitting down and just whoosh, because it's just heavy as fuck, angular, it's everything you want from Propagandy in terms of a song. Nice. And now more than ever, clearly for Propagandy, right? The vibe generally.
Exactly.
And I remember just like in high school, right? FHS. It was sort of like everybody was into alternative. But what you knew, like when you were sort of seeing somebody that were like, if they like talked about Propagandy as being a band that they liked, then they were like, oh, fuck, you're actually serious about this. Like, it's like, you're not just fucking Nirvana, fucking Green Day, whatever, like Propagandy, because it was still kind of on the down low, right? And they didn't have quite as many records out, right, in the mid-90s and whatnot. They were just kind of getting started. So now every time they put something out, I just go, fucking A. I just cheer for them, right? Anyway, I'm glad anytime they put out new music, they fucking give a shout out in their lyrics to Lovers in a Dangerous Time, the classic Canadian.
Nice.
Right, Bruce Coburn. He fucking
Yeah.
they throw in some Bruce Coburn lyrics right at the end of their first single in these times, and to me, I'm just like, fuck, that's cool. So I like it. I dig it. I think it's something to look forward to in times such as these when that release comes out. I think it's coming out in May, I want to say. And I'm just going to now shoehorn this in because actually I don't have much to say about it except that it's rad and I have to mention it. Speaking of punk music of a certain vintage, there's this band that I've been just listening to incessantly, the fucking one complete. Well, they got 2 records out. One of them that's they're called the GC5, and they're from Ohio, and they're just this fucking straight up rancid sounding fucking street punk band. And every fucking song on this one release, Never Bet the Devil Your Head, it just slays. It's like everything you want from a fucking street punk song. And I think Gumby was the dude who put those show on. I think they played a Bugaboo Creek. I know there's some fucking Fredericton connection with their discography, such that that's the only way that I would have heard about it. Around 2002, 2003 is when this thing came out. And I remember I got the vinyl for it at one point. I must have with a CD or something because I have a poster from that release following me around with my punk memorabilia and shit. And so I finally just found the recording, just on YouTube, and I'm like, man, it's my going out and walking around music is what it is for the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. Been a lot. And yeah, man, incongruous, maybe a bit, but it's kind of my vibe right now. And I definitely will happily shoe that in on the propaganda and the general vibe of, fucking street level discontent that seems to be kind of fomenting around the burning Tesla fucking charging station. Not that I'm seeing any of that because actually Fort McMurray's pretty chill, but I'm told on the internet that's going on, right? Anyway, bro, what do you got for the next ones?
Oh, I just had one more thing. I had one thing to say about propaganda.
Please.
Did you see that? Well, did you see them when they played in Fredericton? I think in like 2000, 2001-ish at the farmers market.
No, and I regret to this day very much that I missed that show.
Okay, because I ended up running into them on the street before that show, and I was acquainted with their bass player just from like playing in bands in Alberta and like him being in other bands in the prairies as well. Because it's Todd Kowalski that was in I Spy and Swell Like Shit and like a few other Winnipeg bands besides propaganda. But anyways, yeah, I kind of knew Todd and I recognized them and I saw them walking and just all the members of propaganda were just walking down Queen Street in Fredericton, just looking like perplexed and a little shocked. And I was like, hey, what's up, guys?
Occurrence among bands from out of town, like, what the fuck is even in here? Oh, yeah. This is really it.
I was like, hey, guys, how's it going? They're like, oh, we tried to go buy lentil soup at this cafe, and then this old lady with green hair just yelled at us until we left. And what had happened was they went into Molly's, and they made the mistake of asking what was in the lentil soup and if it was vegan. And, her assertion was, if it's made, if it's homemade, it doesn't matter what's in it. It doesn't matter if it's vegan. It's better than any, mass-produced vegan food you could get. And just started trying to debate the propaganda guys and was like, probably knowing Molly, probably a little hungover and just like irascible as ever. And yeah, just like ended up getting into like just yelling at propaganda and chasing them out of the cafe because
Molly,
dared to ask her what was in the lentil soup. And that was like their initial Fredericton experience. But anyways, to get back to my next pick, it kind of ties into that like anti-colonialism of the Kneecap album. And it's also probably the first album of 2025 that really kind of like caught my attention. And that is the new album from Puerto Rico's Bad Bunny. He's always an artist that like I've respected, but not always been that into a lot of his musical output. Like he works more in like kind of like the reggaeton genre, which is not, it's just it's not necessarily my favorite, but you see,
I
just
respect and I'm intrigued by this. I'm a little surprised. I think maybe I know you kind of got like mainstream pop inclinations, and when
but
I hear that
it's
person,
the
when I hear that name, I don't know any of their music at all, and I tend to associate it with just like Rolling Stone magazine, attending whatever fucking event, and
okay.
yada yada. Yeah.
Because yeah, if you don't know, Bad Bunny he's a rapper from, I can't remember where he's from in Puerto Rico, but it's like one of like the smaller towns kind of thing.
Okay.
Who's been going for like a few years now, and he's, like I said, most like all of his music's in Spanish. I originally found out about him more because he's a big wrestling fan and has done stuff with the WWE as well. Like when they've done events in Puerto Rico, or the last time they ran a pay-per-view in Puerto Rico, and he actually had like a half an hour match that involved liberal assistance from various other members of the WWE roster, but still, the guy, he's a performer, and it was pretty entertaining. But anyways, he this year he put and but like I said, it's somebody that like he's had interesting ideas working in a genre that's not necessarily my favorite. And like a lot of his like visual presentation and stuff. But anyways, he just put out this new album called Debí tirar más fotos, which it's Spanish for I wish you'd taken more pictures. It's basically him addressing like gentrification and colonialism in Puerto Rico, especially since a lot of the hurricanes that happened like during the first Trump
People
administration,
throwing toilet
and
paper
then
off the thing at
exactly,
people. Yeah.
and sort of to set the
Classy.
stage for like the ideas he was presenting with the album. He made this. He worked with this guy Jacobo Morales, who's like a 91-year-old, playwright and film director from Puerto Rico, to make this little 12-minute short film that I put in the notes as well. That just sort of describe, it's talking about like how things on the island have changed, and a lot of people have moved in lately after things kind of fell apart and bought stuff up, but it doesn't feel the same, and they wish they'd taken more pictures of the old days, and that's kind of like the main theme of the album. And musically, it leans a lot more into like salsa and Latin jazz, and like it's like big band songs and like that kind of thing, and still mixed with some like reggaeton and club music, and but still like incorporating a lot of those, still incorporating some of those elements in, and doing songs about like the Puerto Rican diaspora in New York, or like the just like a lot of these kind of like shock doctrine kind of disaster capitalist gentrification things that have been going on in Puerto Rico, while also just taking more of like a sentimental slant of the album title as well, and just thinking about how sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in nostalgia, and it's just exactly. But I just thought it was like it's probably the most interesting thing musically he's done, in my for me anyway. And yeah, I think it's cool that he's made an album where like a lot of the songs are more, yeah, like I said, just like straight up like salsa with like big band jazz instead of the usual kind of like dance hall reggae with auto tune kind of stuff.
Not that there's anything wrong with dance hall reggae,
and there's nothing wrong with any of that. And like I realized, I think I realized a lot of my picks are kind of there's some club bangers in there.
You're knocking it out of the park like a fucking Cuban at bat, man. You're look at you with the post-colonial fucking theme running through your notes.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that had like survived from previous incarnations of the topic as well, because it came out like January 3rd, I think, and it was I saw the little like short film that he did with Jacobo Morales, where it's like Jacobo Morales and like a stop motion frog discussing like the current state of Puerto Rico, and then going for a little walk and like taking in the island kind of thing. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, just like a lot of interesting ideas from somebody who is also, you know, going to be appearing in the upcoming Happy Gilmore 2.
Is he now?
Yeah, he's playing the caddy apparently. But anyways, yeah, so that was I guess my next pick was the most recent Bad Bunny album, Debí Más Tirar, Los Fotos, just because it ties into that like post-colonialism, etc., and you know, there's some pretty cool songs on it.
This is kind of part of speaking almost to the format of the show. I'm like, that sounds kind of like pop music. I don't know about that. And then Dan will just go, oh, well, here's why it's fucking brilliant. And fucking, yeah, how she goes, guys. You know, because we got to get, and I don't know, man. I just kept thinking, yeah, well, wannabe 51st State. You wish what we had. I'm like, you wish we sorry, you know, got the drinking water. Sorry, Puerto Rico, because that's ultimately what the fuck Trump wants. He wants our resources, primarily our water, is actually what the fuck this is even about. But that's neither here nor yon. Speaking of post-colonialism, for fuck's sake, on a stick. Okay, so what else? I got to say right now, I'm going to just say that I have much abused Instagram. I really, and I feel bad about it, but not bad enough to stop abusing Instagram. I realized at a certain point that people like that I look up to musically are like blocking me. Even people like who like followed me. At one point, I was like, Frankie Stubbs was fucking following me on Instagram, and then I sent him one too many fucking Garfield memes or something, and through the DMs. And like just he doesn't exist on Instagram anymore. It's fucking hot water music. The nicest guys in hardcore. I champion those fucking dudes, right? Like I've named like education podcasts thematically have had to do with their music, and I'm just like sending them DMs and shit, you know, because. I don't know. I'm fucking a punk. I fucking write. I mean, have you heard of a zine, motherfucker? And it just never got any kind of response. I'm just like, okay, they got an intern or a fucking volunteer or a bot, whatever. It's cool. And then just like suddenly this high-profile band with like 40,000 followers just they like, okay. Whereas the same approach as now, like whoever runs the Lawrence Arms Instagram, like if we don't go a couple days without communicating, like we make up a reason to like, oh, here's some fucking Garfield shit or whatever. And I'll just send, here's 5 stupid memes. 2 days will go by and then they'll like a couple of them and then send me some comment. I'm like, I'm actually kind of like friends with them. It's the same approach. It's just like 2 different bands, punk as fuck, same era, right? Even I got tats for both of them, and like, you know, it's just my method is pretty fucking, you know, not completely random, but just kind of, I like things. I wonder if I would just reach out if people will respond. And that generally tends to work as far as it goes. You know, I don't got much in terms of an ulterior agenda. I'm not charging for any content yet, motherfuckers. You know, it's just, so that's all my kind of roundabout way of saying sorry to all the fucking people I bugged on DMs. Somewhat, I tried to tone it down. Sorry, hot water music. Sorry, for fuck's sake. Fuck. The Lord's Arms were like, really? Those guys are nice. And I'm like, I know, man. I felt like I stepped on a kitten or something. Like, fuck. And Frankie Stubbs, I mean, God, the fucking legend. He blocked me. I'm like, God damn, I'm a bad person. Because I know they know each other and shit. Because the best connection. Christ on a crutch. Okay, I'm glad I got that out of my system. I've been carrying that around a little while, I gotta say. Roach Squad, okay? it's a new venture featuring Frankie Stubbs. He's playing guitar. He's not singing. And Hugo from St. Catherine's, right? The singer.
Yep.
He is singing for this. So it's similar configuration actually. They got the drummer, from Leatherface, the last guy who, and it's the guy also who runs Little Rocket Records, who plays the drums and has been behind these Leatherface reissues, right? These fucking dope reissues of Leatherface and Jesse, right? They've been pretty good about curating this stuff and putting it out. They got some resources to put behind it, and the fucking dude is ace behind the drum kit, right? So now, basically, they had a project, right? I've talked about this before. It was they recorded an album with Dickie Hammond playing guitar, right? And it was Warm Places was the name of the record, and Meditation was the name of the project, right? So it was the singer dude from St. Catherine's plus a couple of his guys, and then Dickie from Leatherface. And it was and then Dickie passed away. And now there's been some sort of back and forth. There's sort of creative engagement. Frankie has come out of retirement somewhat to put out some music. He appeared on a track, with some of, the Montreal kind of. He's been engaged a little bit more, it seems. And they have a new record that's out right now. A couple songs on it. I don't know enough about it to really say more than that, because quite frankly, they blocked me and I haven't been paying that much attention. But they have a friggin' they have a single out, Little Magic, and it's a really cool visual. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to digging into it. I just want to flag it right now because I think anybody who checks out the show would find it interesting. I personally will find it interesting. I just think it's funny because, I literally have a PhD in a thing called educational technology. I have spent 20 years studying how people engage with the internet in an educational fucking way. 15 years really, but almost 20 at this point. And it's just, I think it's interesting. I think the shit is funny. And I guess I'll put it at that for now. I got one more pick that I got to be sure I get in, but that sets it up nicely for that. Thinking forward here, pal. What do you got, my friend?
All right. Well, I will combine my last two picks here because they're kind of thematic.
Okay.
Because part of that whole dog shit days of spring is that looking forward to things further down the line. So there's a couple, I put on the advanced singles from a couple albums that I'm pretty excited about that are coming out in May, actually.
Awesome.
The first one is a bit of a reunion album from a band from like the late 90s and aughts that I was a big fan of. Probably my favorite band to ever come out of Wales, Cardiff, Wales to be specific, and that is McCluskey.
Keeping on with a post-colonial vibe, can we say that?
Possibly. I think one of the guys.
Wales is colonial, is a colony, right? Are they not?
Yeah. But yeah, and but anyways, McCluskey were they were a band I always really enjoyed from that like sort of late 90s, early aughts era. Just like kind of abrasive, like I guess snotty is the only way I can describe it. Or just like like their singer Andy Falkus, like his vocals are almost in that like Jello Biafra, like John Lydon register sometimes. But over top of just like kind of like sometimes melodic, but a lot of times just like really like noisy and abrasive guitar. He's really good at conveying just the emotion of just like what the fuck is even happening right now. Like that's there's some bands that like there's certain notes they really kind of like hit the best, and that's McCluskey are one of those bands that like that's they're just like it's like the world's fucked up. And they're kind of, all they can do is laugh about it. But it's still just like, what the fuck even? They broke up, I guess, probably, towards like the mid to late aughts. Andy Falkus and one of the other guys started a band called Future the Left with some of the folks from Frank Turner's old band, Million Dead.
Oh, radical.
Yeah.
Frank Turner kicks ass. I feel like I haven't talked about him enough on this show, honestly.
Yeah. Jen, my
Yeah.
girlfriend, is there's like you could measure in like inches the amount of Frank Turner records of hers that are on the shelf over there. You know,
Oh, good
like
choice.
yeah,
Good choice.
but
England keep so since just to shout out, I'll just completely apropos of that. I'll just say that England Keep My Bones is a fucking masterpiece, in my opinion, and everything else that he's got out there in terms of solo records and collaborations and stuff. Even the stuff that I don't enjoy readily because it just sounds kind of similar to me. Some of it just kind of has a sameness quality to it. It's cool. It's just I got a limited range for it, but the stuff of his that I love, I fucking love, man. So shout out to Frank Turner. Gosh dang, sorry, bro. Just had to get it
no,
in there.
that's okay.
Okay.
But anyways, so yeah, I guess a couple years ago, McCluskey decided to get back together again, and they've got a new album coming out on Ipecac Records in May, and like Ipecac is like it's
Cool as hell.
it's a good home for them because like in my notes I mentioned that I'm trying to like mentally manifest a tour between them and another band I've talked about on the show a lot, Chat Pile, because I feel like they'd be spiritually similar even if they're not entirely sonically in the same wavelength. Because like I guess yeah, it's like some of McCluskey's stuff almost reminds me of like Pavement, but then they can turn around and go almost like Jesus Lizard heavy, on some of their other songs. And the song from the new album that I picked, People Person, part of it I picked just because I think the video is great because it's just an office slowly going feral. And people smashing all of their equipment. And, it features the lyric that I'm shit on Skype. So, they're really addressing, like, the modern era. They have another song called Way of the Exploding Dickhead about, like, sort of bullshit masculinity influencers on the new album as well. That's also pretty good. And yeah, it's coming out in May. It's what's it called? It's The World Is Here and So Am I. And yeah, they're just like I said, McCluskey are they're one of those bands that like I always really enjoyed. I've got some of their old records here like on the shelf over there. And I was really excited to hear they came back and here, they're still pissed. They're still, just they're still saying like what the fuck even in their own little like creative snotty British way. And yeah, I was just excited to see they have a new album. And another new thing that I'm looking forward to coming out in May is the second album from the Brooklyn-based band Model Actress. I don't know if you're familiar with them at all.
Not even a bit.
Okay, they're from. They put out an album in 2023 called Dog's Body. That was really good. That was kind of like no wavy industrial, like spooky dance music, I guess you could say. But like, yeah, they're very much like a dance punk band. And the best way I can describe them is like, or the best way I can think to like give you just the energy that they give off is like you can kind of judge bands by their on-stage recreational sort of refreshment of choice. And Model Actors are the only band I've seen with their singer just holding a full big bottle of cheap red wine and drinking from it directly through the course of their set. And yeah, it's like I said, like it's like some of the guitar work is like you could see it, fitting in with some of that like older like sort of like abrasive like New York no wave stuff, and like it gets kind of like spooky and industrial and gothy at times, but like yeah, very flamboyant and just like like it's pretty like I never got super into the dance punk scene, but I was around it a lot when it started. So
I love the Faint. I love the Faint
yeah,
so much.
like the Faint. Yeah, like I enjoyed the Faint.
Faint are one of my favorite bands, and they're one of the only bands of that genre I can put up with. I know what you mean. As a genre, it fucking blows. I'll be real. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But some instances of it are just like, wow,
exactly.
You are exactly what New Order wants the world to be, right? So
there's another new band, kind of in a similar vein called Special Interest,
okay.
from New Orleans. They're worth checking out. But yeah, model actress. They're just one of those, you talk about stuff that comes up in the algorithm. But yeah, the first single from their new album, a song called Cinderella. That's also, you can listen to it on their Bandcamp as well.
Nice.
But yeah, that came out a few weeks ago. But listening to a bunch, it's very much, if you're looking for like sort of a dance punk version of your Brat Summer Club classics, like it's kind of, similar wavelengths, I guess you could say. And like I said, they're the kind of band that would, drinks big bottles of red wine on stage. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. Exactly. So yeah, that's my last couple picks, is looking forward to those two albums. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Nice. Well, I just got actually, first of all, I want to say that I'm really grateful that we've had kind of the opportunity over the show, right? We're going on we're at 2.5 years with this thing, going on 3, and a lot's happened. But it's cool that some of the engagement, right? Some of the facilitation, some of these conversations, and some of, hitting some of these bands and kind of reaching out to people. There have been some really, what I would consider, cool unintended consequences of just, making this endeavor even a thing. And to that end, I'm really pleased that I think I can say this publicly, enough DMs have been exchanged that I'm going to be having a second conversation quite soon with Sam I Am drummer Colin Brooks
nice.
In New York City. Yeah, where he lives. Colin, I think you're still in New York City. We've been in contact, and we're going to have a conversation because he has his new Same music project, which has some music, which is really from the shoegazy kind of awesome Sam I Am, like OG fucking like California fucking punk that they helped create and define, one of the original Gilman Street bands. I mean, is that fair to say? I mean, I'm
definitely.
I'm not quoting out the fucking lore here. Yeah, I'm not great on the deep background.
Yeah,
okay.
Sam I Am are definitely
history and stuff. But
they're part of that original group, like
cadre
of Gilman Street folks. Like,
thank you. Just I'm an academic, and I need fucking pure confirmation on my shit. So thank you, man. Thank you. Smarter people than you make the fucking academic enterprise go round. That's what I'm saying. He's the smarter person in this instance, right? In most instances. So beyond and above the banter. It's really cool that Colin has, been amenable to staying in touch. I have, I guess, not sent him enough Garfields yet to be blocked off the radar.
I'm sure
but it's really cool. Yeah, he's got a solo release. Also, man, just so because drummers, right? They're in demand. And so on this release, right, he gets to play songwriter. He just kind of gets to do the whole sort of self-recording, all of it's his own composition, and it's charming as hell. He's just such a smart, imaginative, creative guy. He's a visual artist as well. And so actually, when I interview him, it's not going to be necessarily for this show. I'm going to be putting him on a new series of podcasts that are just coming together now called Writers on Writing. And it's going to be talking about multidisciplinary people, because Colin really is sort of somebody who plays a lot of different creative roles. And so in addition to speaking to the new Same, his kind of current project, as well as the Sam I Am, I don't know what they're doing now for recordings and stuff. I know that they're playing Pooza Fest. I know that they're, coming to Canada and at least playing a few kind of gigs this year. I don't know what I'm sure you can find all that out online. But it's always great to see them because, again, Colin's contribution on that last record, Stowaway for them. I mean, we talked about it when it came out. This show existed when that came out, and we talked about it. I talked about it a lot. I thought it was fucking rad. I still do. I still listen to that one all the time just because it's fucking rad. Christ. So, and he plays with this other band called Lapesh, a female-fronted band. And I've been in touch with like Lepesh Instagram, just bothering people. This is what I do on Instagram. You seem nice. Let's have a conversation. I guess one of them's a teacher or something. I have no fucking idea. It was like 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I discovered, oh, it's Colin. Colin plays drums for Lepesh. And I've been interacting with Lepesh and Colin, like thinking they were different entities. So it's like, no, it's Colin. And I'm like, oh, cool. So Lepesh is fucking rad, though. It's a completely different thing than Sam I Am. But like when I was listening to it, unbeknownst to me, thinking that it was like, I didn't realize it was Colin playing twice. I remember when I was like listening to Lepesh, I was like thinking, man, this sounds like Sam I Am. I'm like, this sounds like really fucking cool, like 90s and 80s DC fucking guitar, angular, weird, expressive, shoegazy kind of fucking stuff with this really amazing, dynamic female vocal on top. And it turns out that at least a couple of those people in the band have some kind of ties to Florida and No Idea. I think one of them was in 12-Hour Turn.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
man.
I listened to that band back in the day.
Right. I got when I did like my first order from fucking No Idea, I think I got like a 12-Hour Turn 7-inch, right? And I'm like, I looked on their Discogs page and I'm like, okay, you guys have deep post-hardcore credentials. And that's when I was like, oh, Colin is in this band. What the fuck? Oh, okay. Anyway, so what is that? That's a twofer. If I can say Colin Caps for a few different things on this. And by the way, since we're talking Gilman Street, sort of adjacent, I just want to say that Mike Park's radio show, and its Instagram Live is like one of the only Instagram Live things that I watch. Mike Park from Asian Man Records. He has a radio show, right? Like an actual fucking radio show for his thing. But then he also does like he live streams off his phone, and it's like there's this regular crew of people that shift in. I check it out. I do check it out because Asian Man Records is like actually one of the main fucking American record labels. Actually, if you look at like cool fucking punk releases over the decades of like legit fucking cool artists, lots of cool stuff going on now. But like legacy stuff, right? Midwest punk music, especially like the bands which turned into the Lawrence Arms and Alkaline Trio, the Broadways, Slapstick, right? You're going pretty deep into fucking prime fucking 90s fucking indie punk lore, man. You're talking Skank and Pickle. You're talking you cannot talk.
You want to talk Skank and Pickle.
You cannot talk 90s punk without talking Asian Man Records, without talking Mike Park. And he's just sitting there, he's having this fucking live stream, and like 30 people show up. And like, oh, he's shouting them out, in between, like, what do you think we should suggest? And people ordering fucking pizza and shit. He has his co-host show up. It's fucking tight, man.
Oh, cool.
Like, the dude is like responsible for like Alkaline Trio and the Lord's Arms being as prominent as they are, for giving them their start. At minimum for me is just like, this man is a fucking historical presence worthy of fucking, and he's just this middle-aged Korean American dude hanging out in his fucking house. It's cool as fuck. So there, I squeezed in almost everything for my list, except the stuff that's going to go.
I gotta say, I was a big Skank and Pickle fan back in the day.
Fucking A, of course. How could you not be? Everybody loves Skank and Pickle.
I was gonna say when the old Fredericton record store, Purple Haze, first opened, that was something I bonded with Dean
was big on about, right?
To the point where like he ended up getting me like one of the early Skank and Pickle albums on cassette, and also a compilation that Asian Man Records had put out with a Sublime song on it before Sublime like were a thing. Just in the midst, mixed in with all these other like ska punk bands like Mephistopheles and stuff like that. And like it was like that was something I was.
Just if I may, just to, because I'm done. I am done speaking on that. But if I can bookmark something on this, because to those who are new to the endeavor, I kind of handle media production and kind of the blog and video output aspects of it. Dan is very much in charge of both topic selection and when we actually do the recordings. He's kind of got final say over that aspect of it. And so in terms of topic choices, I just want to say I really think it would benefit the show potentially at some point to do like a thematic thing according to our favorite record labels, because I don't think we've done that.
Definitely. That is,
man. Like do your 5 favorite representative artists of
that's something that we should definitely that's something I would pencil in for the nearish future.
Maybe, man. It's the English teacher in me, man. I
exactly
put it on the fucking board and I can walk away from that now. It's in the fucking notes, right? So basically, we covered it on the syllabus, my friend. So I don't know, man. I don't got much else. I mean, there's always something else, but is there anything else that you got particularly at this point?
That was pretty much it for my picks. It's been like I kind of rolled those last couple ones in there, but man.
Nice. Well, again, if there's anything you want to throw in the notes, God, I mean, I actually now have some things I ought to follow up on, just kind of cropped up. You mentioned Pavement.
Yes.
One thing that there is a thing. There's a movie, a fictional movie about Pavement coming up.
I saw that was coming out.
Plural. Steve Malkmus is presently in a new band called the Hard Quartet.
Okay.
They've muted me, but they haven't blocked me. They got me on disappear mode. So when I send them shit, it's just like just immediate. They don't keep like, we really don't appreciate you, but we're not going to block you. I sent him something. I was John Worster's new worst friend on Instagram one time. It's an honor I don't fucking take lightly. And I sent him that just because I fucking knew that I would get a response. And whoever fucking runs their account liked. So I'm like, I know there's a fucking human at the end of it. I know that there is. You just don't want to talk to me. That's fine. And I actually asked him once. I was like, "Do you want to be on our podcast for an interview?" They're like, "No, we're busy." They won't block me. They just like, okay, this guy keeps on this Garfield. Fuck. Anyway, English teacher life. What can I say? Sorry, Puerto Rico. You're not good enough to be the 51st state. It's just you don't got the drinking water near enough. What it comes down to, dudes. Sorry. What else we got, man? And is there anything else? Are we no,
done? That's all I have. And
okay.
It's one of our later recording sessions here, so
it is. We have a 3-hour time
anyway.
I'm going to respect that. I am going to honor and respect the fact that this has been a highly rad show. Yeah. We appreciate anybody, whomever and whatever may be checking this out. We're all just people at the end of the day. Except Elon Musk, who's a fucking android motherfucker, but everybody else, mostly. Thanks for checking out the show. Bye.
Bye.